Good day, everybody. My name is Mark David Smith, and I'm the owner of the Lamb Video Network. Yossi was just in, but having problems with his video, so I could hear him fine. So he's rebooting. I hope you're enjoying the shows if you're watching them. Yossi is somewhat of a new friend of mine. We've been doing the show for a little over a year now, and he has helped me in so many different ways of understanding my deeper faith, my understanding of how things work. It's interesting. My entire life, I've anything that I am involved with or whatever is always I need to know the reason behind it. I don't believe in blind faith. I don't believe that we just believe something because somebody else does, or we've been presented with a scenario or a perspective. And I don't just believe anything based on blind faith. And so all my life, and growing up in the Baptist church, the First Baptist Church, I was presented several different ways of perspectives of following God and looking to God for answers, and his way of life compared to the world's way of life. And I grew up in a Christian home, and was presented the gospel, so to say, or, and scriptures. But of course, being raised in predominantly the New Testament, then that's the influence that I've had over my years. But when presented Torah and the Torah understanding, the Torah lifestyle, so to say, I searched into that and researched and figured out what I understood at that point in time. So looks like Yossi is back with us, but I'm still not getting any video. Yossi, are you there?
Shalom, I'm here. For some reason, my camera is not connecting today. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why.
Nope.
So I don't know. I can put on an archive, and we can come back next week and try it again, which is what I'd rather do, because we are a video network, and I'd rather just not have you, this way. At least we got our time change right.
Yes, we got the time change right. Unfortunately, last week we missed it, but this time something went wrong with the camera just about 5 minutes ago, and I haven't worked out what the problem could be. I'm very sorry.
It's okay. We'll I guarantee you, I always have a couple of 100,000 things I can do. So but I enjoy being with you. So I think we just lost Yossi. There you are. Yossi, why don't we not do it this week, and we'll catch it up next week.
All right, then. I'm very sorry about this, and see you all next week. Enjoy the archive.
What are those things about doing it live? Have a good week, Yossi. We'll figure it out next week. God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Give me a second. I'll put an archive on. I had one waiting, but we'll do this. And so we'll see you again live next week. God bless.
God bless. Take care. Shalom. Shalom. And welcome again to another Petach podcast for the lamnetwork.tv. So we're going to do our final part of our Nittel presentation today and make sure that we've covered everything. We'll just do an overview of what we've done for the past couple of weeks. So if you've been following, we were looking at a presentation. I'll put it on the screen now. Hopefully it's going to work. Yeah, I'll make sure that it's actually showing full screen so you won't see me. But you should be able to still hear my voice. And this is the presentation we're going to be doing. So last week we were nearly towards the end of it, actually, but let's put it on the slideshow. It should be that you can see everything happening now. Hopefully, if it's not working, then somebody will let me know. And I think we got up to here. We had just finished the story, and we were talking about two different paths. So let's go through a little bit of recap from the beginning. All of these are the slides we looked at before. And to take us back, now we are actually in the elongation of the telly right now. The planet Earth is in the elongation of the telly right now. So just a reminder, this is our presentation. We covered this the first week, talking about Nittel, to try and counteract the negative effects of the anti-Semitic propaganda, which is propagated all over the internet, including not only by Nazis, but by Jews who are doing something called stigma reversal. So stigma reversal, what's that, you might ask? Stigma reversal is when a group of people or an individual is accused of being something for so many years, for such a long time, that group or individual gives in and says, yes, I did that, even though they didn't. Stigma reversal can be, for example, when somebody is accusing you of saying, for example, you killed that cat, you killed that cat, you killed that cat. For example, when you didn't kill the cat at all, but somebody says you killed the cat over and over again, and after many years you said, yes, so I killed the cat, so what? You actually embrace it and say, so what? As if it's a problem. You sort of try and say, I did it, and if I did it, so what? It's not a problem. That's called stigma reversal. And we live in kind of the age of stigma reversal, where people embrace the accusation against them and throw it back and say, so what? Why is that such a bad thing? And unfortunately, that's what many Jews are doing now with regards to Nazi propaganda, which started with anti-Semites a long time ago. The first anti-Semite who promoted this was somebody called Celsus, or Kelsus, depending on your pronunciation. After him, there was Wolfgang Capito, who was actually promoting something called the Shem HaMephoras and introduced it to Martin Luther. Martin Luther was gullible enough to believe that was the truth and actually wrote a book called Von Shem HaMephoras, as if it was a real legitimate Jewish book. It wasn't. It was based on a piece of medieval Catholic propaganda for the Crusades. And then after him, there came Wagenseil, and after Wagenseil, Huldreich, and then after them, the Nazis. And none of these people were Jews, and they were all twisting the truth and trying to change the story. And now, only in the 21st century, we have Jews doing stigma reversal by actually embracing this Crusader propaganda and saying, yes, we did that, so what? But those Jews who are embracing it are the least educated of the Jews. And unfortunately, we're at that situation where the least educated are the majority. And so that's what's happening. But Nittel, as I tried to explain, is not what you might find on the internet about it, certainly not Wikipedia. Nittel is actually a very complex and ancient Judaic tradition, which has got, it predates the concept of Christmas, and it's got really very little or nothing to do with the birth of Jesus of Nazareth. But it is.
And here we are. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Oh, hold up. The reason is because I'm muted. Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you. Are you there? No, you're muted.
Hello.
There we go. We're back.
What happened?
All right.
What happened?
Do this anyway. Good.
I don't know what happened.
Good.
How are you, Mark? You okay?
I'm blessed of the Lord.
I'm very sorry to everybody that my camera, I don't know what happened, just stopped working, and now it's working. I thought I'll just try to come back in just in case Mark's still there, and he was, so here we are.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're blessed, and I'm glad that our camera is working. So
yeah. Yes. I'd rather do this.
All right. So we were just showing you one of our archive videos, which was about actually about Mitternacht, which I talked about many times. Mitternacht is so incredibly important for Messianic Hebrews to understand the story. And in fact, that Orthodox Judaism, Orthodox Jews still remember the story, the origin of the New Testament, and tell that story every Mitternacht, which is basically Christmas Eve. And so that was an old version. And we should, I mean, I hope that it's something that everybody really gets and really understands now. Mark, have you seen it a few times now? Is that right?
I watched it when you did it.
Okay.
But also, I would let everybody know that if you'll go to the Lamb Network, and if you're watching it from there, you can also find all the archives in our YouTube channel. So if you've missed any of these or want to watch them in order to understand them a little better, you can just go to the website and find all the archives and watch them, binge watch them. So, are you there? Uh-oh. You look frozen there, Yossi. Uh-oh. Yossi's frozen. Oh, my. I don't know what we're going to do. We're trying so hard, people. I thought we were right there and ready to go, but Yossi's having more than enough problems. So I guess there he goes. Let's add it to
tradition. And so we've been through this. If you haven't seen it, please do try to get the previous episodes to read it. We talked about what he's going to be doing in that picture there, pouring the window out at midnight with the Talmud open on his desk, what's going on, and lighting the candle. We'll explain that. And so I said that also, people accuse the Jews of having our religion taken from Zoroastrianism, whereas Jews believe that Zoroastrianism is a kind of Noahide Judaism which came from Judaism. And so if there's any similarity between Zoroastrianism and Judaism in this respect, we would suggest that that's because the Zoroastrians took it from us, not the other way around. Okay, and we then explained what the elongation of the Tele is. The Tele is the North Star Polaris, and it dominates at this time of the year. The elongation between the Sun and the Polaris North Star is at 113.5 degrees. It's the furthest that it ever is, and there's always a possibility that the Earth will flip at this time of the year. It could flip and change its rotation. The north becomes south and the south becomes north. That could actually happen at this time of the year, and it could happen during the Tele's elongation, and that's what Judaism believes is possible. And once we have passed the Tele's 3-day elongation, then we know that we're going back around the sun, and we haven't flipped. Then we're quite comfortable and happy, and we relax because we know the end of the world isn't going to come. But this is the point of this time of the year. What the other people call the winter solstice, we refer to as the Tikufat Tevet, or Tikufat Tevet, which basically means the Tele's elongation. That's really the way it should be perceived, because it's got nothing to do with the North Hemisphere only or the South Hemisphere only, like the winter solstice is only the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere at this time of the year. and the southern hemisphere, it's their summer solstice. But when you talk about the elongation of the tele, whether you're in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere, it's the same story for both of us. We're all experiencing the elongation of the tele right now. That's happening right now. And so that's why Tekufat of Tevet should be understood as being linked to the elongation of the tele, or the elongation of Polaris. And so I explained that the angel who watches over the tele is no ordinary angel. It's the angel of the Lord. Rabbeinu Bachya says, the one which guided us through, guided the Exodus through the wilderness. And that's kind of interesting because the North Star is a star of guidance. And so it makes sense that, by the way, in Judaism, we say that every heavenly body has every heavenly body, star, moon, planet, has an angel stationed over it. And the angel stationed over the tele, the Polaris, is actually the angel of the Lord who guides us through the wilderness. So both the star is guiding us and that angel is guiding us throughout the history. And that's the same angel that appeared to Abraham as 3. And it's a very special angel because it's 3 in 1. And it's interesting that we only recently learned that Polaris is actually also a triple star system. It looks like 1, but it's actually 3 in 1 as well. So it matches up with the angel who is also 3 in 1. And I said that this is probably where the Christians got their idea of the Trinity from. And then I explained that this comes from, the traditions that we follow come from Adam, and that this is even written about in Avodah Zarah 8a, where it says that these holidays were not pagan holidays. They were established for the glory of God, but Rome, the pagans, changed them into pagan holidays. So the time we're in right now is Saturnalia, and that is the elongation of the tele, the time when just before we realize that we are safe and the world is not going to end. And this time was originally a time of fasting. So Hanukkah was yesterday. Yesterday was Hanukkah, the last day of Hanukkah. And now we are in the elongation of the tele, which is the winter solstice for the northern hemisphere, or the southern solstice for the southern hemisphere. So that this time, only once this passes, once this solstice season passes, once the elongation passes, then we consider ourselves to be safe, and we celebrate something called calendar. But until that time comes, we fast and we are penitent, and we are trying to be good, because we think that the end of the world will come, potentially, and so we want to make sure that we are in a good condition before the end of the world comes. Something like that. That's the easiest way of sort of explaining it. Of course, the pagan attitude towards the end of the world is coming as well. The end of the world is coming quick. Loot all the shops, steal everything, get drunk, get high, have sex, do whatever you want. This is the end of the world. That's the pagan attitude. It's not the attitude that people who believe in Hashem, people who believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, people who believe in the Bible. None of us should take that attitude towards the end of the world. If the end of the world is coming, it's time to repent, time to be sort of on our toes spiritually, making sure that we are living a pure life. And this is interesting because even early Christians absorbed this from Judaism, and that's why they used to have something called an Advent fast on the way up to Christmas. And it was all about preparing for Jesus' second coming, which is actually a very good link. So Advent should not be, that's the time leading up to Christmas, should not be a time for drunken debauchery and parties, as a partying like it's the end of the world. It should be a time for preparation and sober thought and concentration on what can you do to improve the world and to make the world a better place, so that, if you like, the inside of your cup and the outside of your cup are clean, that both the inside and the outside are clean. There's no point going around saying, I'm clean on the inside, I'm clean on the inside. Where are your works? And I know that Christians don't like to hear this. Where are your works? They say, oh, that's what Muslims are interested in, Jews are interested in, Catholics are interested in. But Christians aren't interested in works. We're clean on the inside. Yeah, but if you're filthy on the outside, it doesn't make a difference. Nobody's going to touch that cup if it's filthy on the outside. The cup has to be clean on the inside and the outside. And if you're clean on the inside, Baruch Hashem, everybody will know you're clean on the inside, because also the outside will be clean. Now, there are those people who only clean the outside of their cups, and the inside is filthy. Well, that's no good. That's a deceptive way of being. You know, you're doing all the works, but you're filthy on the inside. So the Christian is supposed to, or the Messianic Noahide, the Messianic Hebrew, you're supposed to be clean on the inside, and therefore truly clean on the outside. Okay, but if you're only clean on the inside and you're not doing, or you claim to be clean only on the inside and you're not doing any works which show it, then we know that you're lying about the cleanliness on the inside. Whereas if you're clean on the outside, you might be lying about being clean on the inside, but you might not be. And it's only God whose opinion matters whether you're clean on the inside or not, as long as your works on the outside are clean. Everybody else can see that you're clean on the outside, and it's up to God to judge the heart and find out whether you're truly clean on the inside. That's the way that Jesus taught. That's the correct approach to things. It's not right to say, I'm clean on the inside, even if you can't see it. That is just simply lying, because if you were clean on the inside, your outside would also follow. All right, so it's very important to make sure that we prepare ourselves.
So do we try this again?
Shall we give it a go? Hello?
Sure. That's all right. It's all right.
Hello,
If
is
it
it
doesn't
working?
work again, I'll just finish the...
You know what the problem is, Mark? The problem is the last time I was live on your show, I criticized the CIA. That's the problem. That's what the problem is.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
So, well, I won't take back my criticism of the CIA. And if this is what they're going to do, then that's no good.
Yeah, all right. Well,
all right then. Okay.
You sound more like my wife now. She's a conspiracy theorist.
You should listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
I do.
All right then. Very good. Okay, very good. All right. So I hope that we're all right and we're live. And I was trying to say that this thing you were watching just now about the nittel is so important for Messianic Hebrews to know about, because that is the time when genuine traditional Orthodox Jews for centuries have been reading the story of the origin of the New Testament. And this is a big shock to a lot of Christians. They're like, what kind of Jews are you talking about? You must be talking only about Messianic Jews. No, I'm talking about Orthodox Jews, legitimate Beit Hillel Orthodox Jews, the Pharisees, the scribal Pharisees. Am I coming across loud and clear right now, Mark?
Yeah, everything's good. You bet. You bet.
Done.
I get you.
So we have been telling that story for centuries, and it has been used as propaganda against us. Because why? Because the story is, from our point of view, that the reason why the New Testament, what we call in Hebrew, we call it the Evangelion, or the Evangelion in a different accent, but Evangelion. What we call the Evangelion was created to stop the followers of a false Messiah called Yeshu Notzri, who was the son of Magdalena, the disciple of Jesus of Nazareth. Yeshu Notzri claimed to be the reincarnation and the reappearance of Jesus of Nazareth. He got a following around him, caused a lot of trouble, and as a result of his movement, the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed. And in the end, after that, it was decided by the Sanhedrin that they had to do something about these people, the followers of Yeshu Notzri, who were called the Notzrim. They were Jewish people. They were secular, zealot kind of Jews who really sort of, they were royalists. They were obsessed with the royal family, and regarded the we can say that the viceroy of the time of the person who should be on the throne at that time, or who could be on the throne at that time, they regarded that person as basically God's representative on earth. And so the Sanhedrin decided, we have to do something about this. He claims to be the reincarnation of Jesus of Nazareth. Let's contact the disciples of Jesus of Nazareth and ask them to put together the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth so that they can take this book to the followers of Yeshu Notzri and say, after Yeshu Notzri had been killed, he was executed, he was stoned to death, and he was hung on a tree after he was stoned to death in the city of Lod. After that happened, they took this book and said, these are the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, and they gradually tried to convert those people to become Messianic Hebrews, to become Noahides. And it was slow going, because the influence of Yeshu Notzri's doctrine was so strong, so powerful, that even today, 2,000 years later, that pollution has infected the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, so that Christians believe that Jesus abolished the Torah, got rid of the old law, that the God of the Old Testament is the angry God, and the God of the New Testament is a loving, kind God. And all these ideas which you hear from Christians are the exact teachings of Yeshu Notzri, the false Jesus, the disciple, the son of Jesus' disciple, Mary Magdalene. And so the pollution goes on. And the result of that leads to the religious nationalism, which has caused so much hatred, death, murder, war throughout the past 2,000 years.
Then you have people like Da Vinci that promote this, and then you have people like Tom Hanks that do movies to promote it, and that type of thing.
Yes, I'm trying to remember the exact phrase of what that's called, where you introduce the idea in a negative way and gradually people accept it and it becomes a positive thing. There's a very particular phrase for that, and I can't remember the exact term because it's not a word we use in everyday language. But introducing the idea, in that movie, the Da Vinci Code, where Tom Hanks was playing that part, they introduced the idea that Mary Magdalene and Jesus of Nazareth had a child together, and that the true teachings of Jesus come down to us through the children of Mary Magdalene.
Right.
Which is, a little bit. I mean, fundamentally, it's actually what Yeshu Notzri was basically claiming. Yeah, he's the son of Mary Magdalene. He was claiming to be the reincarnation of Jesus. It's very, very much like, it's very Egyptian. The Egyptian story is Isis. Cool. Do you know this story?
Go ahead. I'm not real sure.
So Isis, which is a false god, was married to somebody called Osiris. And Osiris was murdered by somebody called Seth. And then Isis had a child called Horus. And Horus was supposed to be the reincarnation of Osiris. And that's basically the same story we've got with these Gnostics and their beliefs that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were married, then Jesus was killed, but then Mary Magdalene became pregnant and had a child, and the child was actually the reincarnation of Jesus. So in some sense, it's pretty disgusting, but they say that basically that Horus was the child and the reincarnation of Osiris. And so in the same way, these Gnostics are basically saying that Yeshu Notzri is both the child and the reincarnation of Jesus of Nazareth. It's pure Egyptian paganism.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And this Gnostic idea is what exactly the Da Vinci Code is basically trying to say. Although in the Da Vinci Code, they say that the child was a daughter and that the female line comes down from Mary Magdalene till the present day. With that one exception, it's basically the story of the Gnostics. Okay, they're just basically saying that the child was a woman rather than the son. But apart from that, everything's the same. And I'm certain that these people are responsible for corrupting the Christian faith throughout the ages, and for the persecution of the Messianic Noahites or the Messianic Hebrews throughout the ages. And so we should talk a little bit about the lineage for the next 30 minutes before the end. The lineage.
Sure.
Of Messianic Hebrews, Noahites, throughout the ages. A lot of people think that Noahides is a new thing. It's something which was created recently because of we talked about them before, Menachem Schneerson, the Chabadnik movement. They believe that Menachem Schneerson is the Messiah. One of the things, the major job that the Messiah is supposed to do is he's supposed to basically create a religion for the Noahides. Am I still live?
Yeah, you are. Interesting. Live? I'm following you. Go. I like this. I haven't heard this.
I am. I'm going to just blame the Nazrim. I believe the CIA is 100% Nazri. I believe that that's their faith because I have seen their torture techniques, and their torture techniques involves satanic ritual taken directly from the Church of Satan. And they employed these torture techniques in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And it was totally surprising to see that they are literally lifting their technique, which is satanic ritual, from the Church of Satan in San Francisco. So, I'm not convinced by the CIA at all. I believe nobody could endorse techniques like that unless they were a cult. So as far as I'm concerned, the CIA is a religious cult. That's as far as I'm concerned. And they are probably not... Look, I've gone offline again. I'm pretty sure that they are... My camera light is going off. I'm not sure if I'm still live with you.
You're good.
Sure...
Your video fades in and out, but your audio is fine.
All right. Okay.
You're good. Keep going.
So I'm pretty sure that they're a cult. They're a religious cult, and that they are Gnostics, because all Luciferians. This is an important point. The Church of Satan are Luciferians. If you ask anybody from why you call yourself a church, you worship Satan. The Luciferians, they say yes because Jesus was Satan. They believe that Jesus was Satan, Lucifer, and they worship Lucifer, and they say Jesus was an appearance of Lucifer. So the Church of Satan is a church. It's a church which believes that Jesus is Satan. And so that is fundamentally what all Gnostics believe. The only difference is the Church of Satan doesn't hide it. All Gnostics believe that Jesus was Satan. The Church of Satan does not hide this. They publicly promote this belief. Anyway, so these Gnostics have existed throughout the ages. They believe that the God of Old Testament is evil. They believe that the new God is Lucifer. And they believe that Jesus, in this case, Yeshu Notzri, the son of Magdalena, was not just the reincarnation of Jesus of Nazareth, but was the incarnation of Lucifer. Notice the word Lucifer here, though. This is not a Hebrew name. Yes. This is not a Jewish term. This is a Roman name, a Latin name. It's the name of a Roman god. So and this Roman god is actually coming from an Egyptian, what we call a syncretic religion, which was mixing Egyptian ideas with Roman ideas, Roman paganism, Egyptian paganism, and they have this Lucifer, which basically stands for Osiris. And that is, and Horus as being the incarnations there. So Lucifer, I really object to the idea that the term Lucifer should be put into the Bible at all. It's a completely pagan concept. Translating, Hillel, for example, which is one of the words used for the Yetzer Hara in Isaiah, translating that as Lucifer is really projecting Roman pagan Gnosticism onto the Hebrew faith. Anyway, so these people have existed. They existed in the first century. They tried to take over the Jesus movement, and that all of the objection that comes from Orthodox Judaism against Christianity and against Jesus is actually all against Yeshu Notzri and the Notzrim. But we do refer to Christians as Notzrim because Christians continue to promote the teachings not of Jesus of Nazareth, but of Yeshu Notzri.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Jesus said, I haven't come to abolish the law. I've come to fulfill it. He said, not one yod, not one yod or nikodot would be dropped from the law until everything had been fulfilled. He said, heaven and earth will pass. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. And his words were the Torah. So he was 100% pro-Torah. He also said to his disciples, to the apostles, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in the seat of Moses and do and observe everything the scribes and the Pharisees tell you to do. No, This was not a man who abolished the law. This was not a man who got rid of the God of the Old Testament. This was a man who was promoting that religion for Noahites, which is one of the things, as I said, that the Messiah must do. He must create kind of a religion for Noahites. And if he doesn't, then he's not the Messiah. And the reason this became popular these days is because of the Chabadnik movement. And they believe that Menachem Schneerson is the Messiah, but he died before promoting the Noahide movement. And so they emphasize the Noahide movement in the Chabadnik in the Chabad sect, because they want to show, even he did this, he started the Noahide movement again. That's one of the things the Messiah has to do. And they pretend, but there was no Noahide movement for 2,000 years and since the destruction of the temple. And Menachem Schneerson is the first person in history to start doing the Noahide religion for the Noahides. So it's a big messianic thing that when along comes a messianic candidate, they have to do this religion for the nations. And if they don't do the religion for the nations, then they are not ticking all the boxes that the Messiah has to do. Well, we have to look in the history. So the Nittelnacht story, the story of Nittelnacht, or we tells us that there was a religion for Noahides, which was established by the Sanhedrin based on the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth and his disciples. And this was designed to deal with the lost sheep of the house of Israel who were behaving so wickedly. It was decided that it would be better off if they were Noahides than to continue to call themselves Jews. And so that's how it started. This movement continued, and I'll give you some names for you to check up in your own time, but I'm going to give you the names. This movement continued with, first of all, a group who were called the Gnostic Ebionites. And they were called the Gnostic Ebionites because they had previously been Gnostics, but now they were Ebionites. And this group of Ebionites, because there are three groups of Ebionites, this group of Gnostic Ebionites are the only group of Ebionites who should be of interest to Christians, because it's the first group of people who are formerly Gnostic and have become Ebionite. And they believed all the teachings that I teach on this channel. The next group after the Gnostic Ebionites was a group called the Sobii, or the Elkasites. Sometimes we call them Elkasites. They were called Sobii. Sobi. S-O-B-A-I. Sobii. So the Sobii, the word is a Semitic word, probably Arabic, and its Arabic form is Tsabi. Okay? Sobii is with a Greek plural suffix. Tsabi is the original word, and in Arabic it would be Tsabi'un, and it means Baptists. It means Baptists. Now, of course, we don't mean the modern day Baptists whose movement began just a couple of hundred years ago. We're talking about the ancient Baptists, the followers of John the Baptist, who then became followers of Jesus of Nazareth. Sobii. The Sobii were also called Elkasites because one of the Sobii, called El-Khasai, which is again another Arabic word, Hassa. Al-Khasai is probably from Hassan, which means the pure. And he promoted a form of Messianic Noahide Judaism in Persia. From among this group of Sobii, later emerged somebody called Mani. And Mani also tried to, like El-Khasai, he tried to take control of the Sobii and lead them into a different movement called the Manichaeans. But he also failed, and the Sobii, the Sabi'in, continued to exist in the Middle East until the time of the Himyarite kingdom. The kingdom of Himyar was a Jewish kingdom in Yemen, and it was it was interesting because the Jewish kingdom in Yemen, we should call it a Judaic kingdom in Yemen, because it was a kingdom promoting Judaism. I hope you still hear me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, good.
We're
Okay,
good.
so my camera was frozen. Okay, it was a Judaic kingdom in Yemen, promoting Judaism, specifically Noahide Judaism, as the national religion of its kingdom. And the kings of the Himyarite kingdom in Yemen were Noahides. They were not Jews. They were converts to Noahide Judaism. That was the next spread of this form of Messianic Noahide Judaism in the kingdom of Himyar. Later, the kingdom of Himyar collapsed, and the word they used, we know, in the kingdom of Himyar, which existed from around the year 200 until the year 500, okay, about 300 years. The word they used for Jesus of Nazareth as the Messiah in the kingdom of Himyar was Muhammad, which comes from which comes from the Hebrew term Mahmad, which means the beloved, or the altogether lovely, and it is used in the Bible to refer to the treasure, the true treasure of the temple was the presence of Hashem, the presence of God, residing in the temple. The treasure is called Mahmad, which means the desired one, the one who is altogether lovely. Okay. This word also is a name for the Messiah given in the Song of Solomon, the Song of Songs, in chapter 5, verse 16, where it says his name is altogether lovely. And the word there is Mahmadim. This is Hebrew as well.
All right.
Okay. So Mahmad is actually a true term, a true Judaic term for the Messiah. And in the kingdom of Himyar, in the Judeo-Arabic pronunciation, they called the Messiah Muhammad, which is the same Muhammad, but it's pronounced with an Arabic word. But pay attention to the dates here, because the kingdom of Himyar existed between the year 200 and 500, about 300 years. I'm being very general, okay? But about 300 years, between 200 to 500. The Muhammad of Islam was 100 years after the collapse of the end of the Himyarite kingdom. It's very important. So the first historical reference to Muhammad in Arabic is to the Jewish Messiah in the kingdom of Himyar, where it refers to Jesus of Nazareth. 100 years later, along comes the Prophet of Islam, who again diverts people's attention away from the Messiah. So look, right. You'll find this pattern again and again and again. You've got the Messianic Noahides who are coming along, who are trying to follow the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. And at first, along comes El-Khasai, who tries to deceive them and present himself as a prophet. But they reject him and they continue as the Sabi, the Baptists. Then along comes Mani, who tries to deceive them and present himself as a prophet. But they reject him and continue as the Sabi again. In Islam, in the origins of Islam, you also have the Tsabi, the Baptists. And it says that the first Muslims were Baptists. But later, they changed and became Muslims. In fact, the word Muslim, Meshulam, is also a Judaic word which is used in Isaiah and refers to somebody who is in covenant with God. Every Noahide is Meshulam. They are in covenant with God. That is Muslim in the Judeo-Arabic pronunciation, Muslim. But in Hebrew, Meshulam. Meshulam. Muslim. You can see it sounds the same. Just like Mahmad, Muhammad. Same, but these are different languages. This is Arabic and Hebrew, but the roots are the same. So the Tsabi, the Baptist in Arabic, were also Meshulam, but gradually emerged the new religion of Islam, where the Tsabis were pushed out and the new identity was the Muslim, the Islamic Muslim as we know. But the Tsabi continued. They did not find a place in the Arabic Empire, but they moved north to Armenia. and they continued in Armenia. And the Roman, at that time, the Greco-Roman Empire, the Byzantine Emperor, came to the attention of the Byzantine Empire, and they were presented as followers of Paul to the Byzantine Empire. And the Byzantine priesthood, the Byzantine church, referred to them as Pavlikeni, or Paulicians. Paulicians is the word. Followers of Paul's. Paulic, followers of Paul, little Paul. And they had to run away from the Muslims, and they ran to the Byzantine emperor, and they asked for asylum from the Byzantine emperor, Leo the Isaurian. And Leo the Isaurian was sympathetic towards them. He was interested in what they had to say. Seems like Leo himself was quite interested in their religion, but was prevented from learning about their religion by the Byzantine patriarchs. The church said, no, you can't listen to these wicked heretics. They have to all be killed. However, Leo was not convinced by the church. And he said, no, I'm going to grant these people asylum in my kingdom. So he granted these people who were escaping the expansion of Islam asylum in his kingdom in a place called Bulgaria, today Bulgaria, in the city of Pavlikeni, which means the city of the Paulicians in Bulgaria. It's right in the middle of Bulgaria. And he said, at the very least, they can prevent our kingdom from being attacked by the Huns, because the Huns were invading from the north, Attila the Hun and his descendants. There were different types of Huns, Bulgarians as well, were invading at that time. And this part at that time was being invaded by the Bulgarians. So the Byzantine emperor put them there and said, you can stay here and you can protect our kingdom from the invading Huns and Bulgars who were invading that part, which is now Bulgaria. The Bulgarians did invade. So they continued there, promoting Noahide Judaism, Messianic Noahide Judaism. And eventually, they managed to convert large numbers of the Bulgarians and even went into the area of the world we call today Romania. And in Romania, they survived for a long time. They actually had another kingdom very much like the kingdom of Himyar, a Noahide kingdom, a kingdom where converts to Noahide Judaism were the kings, and they were promoting Judaism as the religion of the country. And these people in that part of Romania, in Judaic language, in Hebrew scriptures, are called Khuzari, which is translated into English as Khazar, but is not to be confused with the Khazars of southern Russia, who were not Jews and did not practice Noahide Judaism. They became Muslim. The word is Khuzar. That's the correct Hebrew word for these people. Everybody hears about Khazars, but the Khazar, a Jewish kingdom of South Russia in the Caucasus, called Khazaria, is a complete and utter myth. There was no such thing. There was a kingdom of Khazaria in South Russia, but they were not Jews and they did not practice Judaism. That kingdom existed. They were pagans and then they converted to Islam. But the Jewish Khazars were in a completely different country, Romania, what became Romania. And their name, if you want to study it and learn about the Jewish Khazars in Western literature, is not Khazar at all. Only in Hebrew we call them Khuzar. But in European literature, they're called Kozlon. Kozlon. Cozlones. Kozlons, plural. Kozlon. So if you want to know about Jewish Khazars, you've got to study the Kozlons. You don't study the Khazars, because it's just like we use words in different languages to mean different things. So, for example, German people are not Huns, right? But in Britain during World War II and during World War I, I should say, in Britain during World War I, the English people referred to the Germans as Huns. But the Germans are not Huns, they're not Hungarians, right? It's just how languages go. In different languages, sometimes we use different words to refer to different nations, and that nation is not necessarily the same nation that we're referring to, right? So you can say, for example, the Dutch. Dutch is an English word, Dutch. It's meaning Deutsch. Deutsch is a German word meaning German. But we use this word to refer to the Dutch who are not German. You see what I mean? So words get messed up in different languages. And the word that we use to refer to the Kozlones in our Hebrew scripture is Kuzar. And then Kuzar sounds like Khazar, and then that's where you get the confusion of, oh, there was a kingdom of Khazaria in South Russia, they must be Jews. No, they weren't. They have nothing to do with the Khazar in Romania, who were the Kozlones. Anyway, so this kingdom in Romania was a Noahide kingdom again. Okay, the king Bulan converted to Noahide Judaism, and he had a Noahide kingdom there as well. The Hungarians came and invaded and pushed these Noahides into Bosnia. That's where they ended up. They got pushed out of Romania into Bosnia, and part of them went into Moravia, which is Czechoslovakia. It's very important to remember these two places, Bosnia and Czechoslovakia, because in Bosnia, they became the Bosnian Church, which is a very odd church in history. You can research it. They were a Messianic Noahide church with a lot of Judaic practices, including Sabbath observance. And later, when the Bosnians were basically slaughtered by early crusaders, many of these Bosnians moved north through Hungary to Czechoslovakia, to where they had other members of their church who'd been settled there from the time of the invasion of the Hungarians, who were called the Moravian Church. So the Moravian Church had an early Reformation. That's the first Reformation. The first, you might have heard about this. Before the Protestant Reformation, there was a pre-Protestant Reformation, which is called the Moravian Reformation or the Bohemian Reformation, where they were Sabbath-keeping Messianic Noahides. The Protestant Reformation came 100 years after that and was specifically designed to drown out the noise which was being created by these Messianic Noahides in Moravia. Nevertheless, the Protestant Reformation did not destroy and completely drown them out. It's like the Protestant Reformation. If your wife is into conspiracy theories, this is the conspiracy, and I'll promote this. The Protestant Reformation was a Catholic Church movement to try and stop Europe from turning into Messianic Noahides in the early 1500s. Good. They created Luther. They created Calvin. These two people were agents of the Roman Catholic Church to prevent people from going down what was later called the Radical Reform. Because in the Radical Reformation is where you continue to have these Baptists who are now called Anabaptists. Mm-hmm. And they are Seventh-day observant Anabaptists. Now, the attempt of the Lutherans to influence the other Anabaptists was quite successful. So many Anabaptists, like, for example, Mennonites, were converted by many Lutheran ideas, but not all of the Lutheran ideas. They still use a Lutheran Bible. They follow Sunday rather than Saturday. And so Mennonites have gone down that path, but not all Anabaptists did. From the Anabaptists who didn't, you got something called the Seventh-day Baptist movement, which was a Messianic Noahide movement, which continued until the Seventh Day. Again, along came another false prophet who tried to take control of the Seventh-day Baptist movement and turned them into the Seventh-day Adventists. And that prophet was called
there you go.
Ellen White. Mm-hmm. Ellen White.
Or we've got about 2 minutes.
It's just interesting how throughout history, those people who have kept on the path of the Messianic Noahide Judaism, Messianic Hebrews, the true Hebrews, Messianic Hebrews, have continually been plagued by false prophets trying to divert their attention and push them away here or there. From this movement that survived emerged the Hebrew Christian movement in the 1800s, which eventually in the 20th century got taken over by the Messianic Jewish movement, where again you had a bunch of pastors trying to say we're the true Jews, again trying to distract and convert the Messianic Hebrews away from their ancient path and take them into different cults of 1,000 different Messianic Jewish rabbis here and there to try and distract them from the truth. But here we are, and I'm an Orthodox Jewish rabbi telling you the history which is the history of the Messianic Noahites throughout the past 2,000 years. That is your history. That is the history which has been tried to be taken away from you by Byzantine Church, Roman Catholic Church, the Crusaders, Lutheran Reformation, Calvinist Reformation, by the Ellen Whitists, and by the Messianic Jews, who have actually taken the name Jew for themselves against the teachings of the Bible. Because Jesus of Nazareth said the scribes and the Pharisees sit in the seat of Moses, do what they say. And we say, don't call yourself Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Call yourself Hebrews,
right,
but don't call yourself Jews.
Wow.
So there you go. 2,000 years.
Really, really good. It makes me just solidifies what I've always said about history is that we just take history for granted. Whatever's been taught to us, whatever is written down in history, we just go with because it's history. But in fact, it's been proven over and over and over again that history has been manipulated just by, this group of people bringing into the public eye certain people like Marcion and many of the others that manipulated the way the people thought, and then it's written down, and thousands of years late, couple of thousand years later, we're reading about it, but we weren't actually there, so we didn't know. We got to go, Yossi. I'm so sorry, but it's time to go.
Okay.
Short show this week, and if you want to pick it up next week, that's great. I'll send you an email on a topic I'm looking into, and we'll mess with it next week. So
okay.
Hopefully we'll get looks like we got your video camera all sorted out and everything. So very good. Have a great week, brother, but we got to go.
You too. Shalom, everybody. Have a great
All
week.
right.
Bye-bye. Shabbat. Bye-bye.
God bless.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all other live Lamb Show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell somebody about the Messianic Lamb Network.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.